Big screen, little screen, SK Vibe Maker, movie reporter Lowry, and we have the director and producer of the new film Beast in the building. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fine, thanks.
Nice to meet you, Baltasar.
Nice to
So
meet you.
looking at your previous work, a lot of your films involved a journey against difficult conditions, and Beast certainly has that. Did you approach this film differently, or did you use previous experiences with this movie?
Well, I think, in some ways, those other films have been based on true events, so there's a little bit of different approach. I have to honor people's real lives. I don't like to ridicule people in that sense, so I did do a lot of prep on those movies that I didn't have to do on this. And this is all about going into how do lions behave, how do they move, how do they go after the prey, so it was more about just about anatomy and everything detailed about lions, which is a great journey. But also because this movie is very much for me a journey and a momentum, a happening, and one decision, bad or good, leads to another one. Mm-hmm. There's not a plot driven story, which I like, because and so I wanted to create an atmosphere of being stuck there with the family as much as she could. And that's why I choose those longer takes and to create a claustrophobia. So yes, I approached it in some ways a little differently. Mm-hmm. And also was happy to do something with a little more genre, in the sense, and bring then other elements to the genre than you might have been seeing before.
I thought the Beast looked fantastic. How much of a challenge was it trying to get him to look very realistic?
There's a lot of work, a lot of preparation. First of all, because we had to have him right in the shot. We can't cut around him because he's always in a long take, and having him approaching. But also we needed a very detailed work of having references of lions that we didn't want to do anything that lion wouldn't do when it attacked. No superhuman behavior, like flying around or jumping too far, or which you often see in films, or creating him too big. I wanted him as big as lions, become, but no bigger. So make him real would be the real scare, not to make him like a lorry, like a big truck, like they do, like the shark movies. They just have to get bigger and bigger, Yeah, and I'm trying to, stray away from that. So yeah, it was a lot of, and to the end, it's really interesting. Like we are like a year in, and we're still doing like spits and blood and breaths, and like trying everything to, like even the fogging up the windows when he's breathing out the window. Just anything, any detail that can make you feel that it's real.
Touching on the realism that you just mentioned, there's a lot of like POV shots, a lot of one take style shots. Yeah. What was what made you go for that approach for this?
Well, for me, it's like all about experiencing the journey with the characters, rather than having a God's POV and seeing the lion like Jurassic Park or something like that, which is great, but it's a different movie. Yeah. So I wanted you to be in there with the lion, and then with the characters, having the lion approaching you. So that's really what I'm claustrophobic. So you almost feel like you have to get out of the cinema to be able to get out of the situation, So it's a really also done for the big cinema. It's really created for that, for that purpose. And I think that's at least seeing the reactions to people on screening, that it gets really intense because of this. It's kind of relentless.
I think we definitely felt that. There's a couple of scenes.
Yeah, very tense.
Yeah.
People see the trailer and they see Idris punching a lion.
Yeah.
And they think that's all the film is about. Yeah. What have you got to say to those people?
Well, there's much more to it, and there's a strong lead up to it, and it's not somebody who chooses to go a mano against lion. It's more born out of need, to save your children, and so it's not like and he's not playing a superhero. He's playing a very vulnerable father in a vulnerable position who has to rise to the challenge because that's the only option he has left. But I think it's also about a family in grief and family dealing with and it doesn't really matter what it is. Families are always dealing with something, and I've never gone on a journey with my family that somebody doesn't make a stupid decision or something that leads to that everyone needs to follow that and fix it. And I think that's kind of the organic nature of the film, that one decision leads to another, and then you're suddenly in the situation, and no one has been in the situation before, so they don't have any book to look to. They need to just crawl out of it, and in the end, that's the only thing he can come up with.
As you mentioned, there's a lot more to this film than Idris punching the lion. And one of the things I took home was your depiction of the poachers in this movie. Was that at the forefront of your mind when making this film?
Well, I think it was very important to give that kind of depth of that what's going on, so we understand also why lions are in danger, why they are threatened, and one of the reasons from the essays I read, and I dug really deep into it, that lions do attack more than we think. They mostly attack indigenous people, which doesn't end up in the Western press. Yeah. As of sharks, you know, one shark attack somewhere, you know, on a coast where the white people are swimming around, it's going to make the headlines. So that's something people don't know about, but it is quite common, especially because their lands have been taken, they're cornered, and they don't have the fields that they used to have to hunt on, you know. So and unfortunately, man is a very slow animal, so it's easy for an old lion, for example, to attack a person because we are slow. And that's the reality of it. And cows and men don't really run that fast, so they come after what they need to eat. And then there's the whole anti-poacher culture, which I actually dug into. I met a couple of them in South Africa. And that's a nasty thing too, you know, because most of the poachers are very poor people serving up other people, you know, who sell bones to Asia, wherever it goes, you know, for some weird reason. You know, for, you know, like Viagra or whatever they think, a tiger bone or
wow.
Well, you know, it's a kind of a, you know, black market, and of course the ones who end up hunting the lions are the poor people in the area, and then the anti-poachers are coming after that. So it's not a simple thing, but for me it was just get the message across that this is what was happening, and it's happening with all animals, with gorillas in Congo, and you know, you can, you know, look at it and yeah. This is human nature.
Iyana and Leah, they play the children in this film. They play Nate's character's children, and I thought they were great in this film. How do you sort of see the difference when you're directing children as opposed to adult actors?
Well, Iyana is actually an adult, you know. So there was
He looks very young.
Yes, he looks very young. She's actually older than she looks. But so she's a very good actress and an upcoming actress, which came through casting. I think she did a small role in Licorice Pizza as well. Very nice appearance. She looks a bit older there, you know. And Leah, on the other hand, is a child actor that is just coming up, and it was. Of course, in the case of Iyana, we went through auditions, and there were other girls she was up against. But for me, she had the right energy. Also, in all honesty, we wanted the skin tone to be dark, which is not always in Hollywood. It tends to often go for the lighter skin tones. And then Leah, when I saw Leah, I just knew that she was the character. I just felt like she's the same, and like she says weird things all day long, you know, and funny things, and I that was a so I was really, you know, happy to give those girls also their first big roles into this industry, and I hope they do well. You know, and I was great actually. There was an article in Variety where they were talking about how great it is to cast, you know, in roles like that. They're not like victimized. They're not like they you know, they are actually kind of heroic. You know, fighting with their father. You know, and it's not about, you know, degrading or anything like. So it's I'm proud to be a part of that.